My name's Dave Dubeau, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome back to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubeau. And have you ever wondered how to turn your next vacation into a fairy tale adventure? My guest today, Josh Luttrell, is here to unveil the magic behind investing in themed short-term rental properties near the Walt Disney World location. Get ready to embark on a journey where real estate meets fantasy. Josh, welcome to the show. I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah, thanks, Bryce. Definitely excited to be here. We've got a lot of cool things to talk about, I think.
Yeah, so can you share a little bit about so you're a realtor at your core. That's how you got into real estate. Have you always been a realtor, or were you an investor first, or how did your whole real estate journey get started?
I really started as a realtor. Everything outside of real estate that I do has really come from being a realtor and kind of noticing trends and so forth. I'm a big data guy.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of, you know, market trends and things like that have kind of guided my path of, these venturing into these themed short-term rentals.
Is that so? Yeah, let's dive right into that. What's the inspiration behind the strategy of making these kind of turnkey Walt Disney World, with that whole professional theming that you're doing? So first, let's start with that. What is it that you do? Because this is really unique. What is it that you do? And then let's talk about the inspiration behind it.
Okay. So in short, a lot of people don't know what themed short-term rentals are. So in short, essentially, we're generally speaking a renovation company, or I own a renovation company. But breaking it down a little bit is we're a theming studio. So our renovation, we're not doing kitchens and bathrooms and so forth. Instead, we're going into a bedroom and building a two-story Cinderella castle that shimmers and lights up, and princesses are around the wall, and it's a bunk bed so little girls can go and sleep in it. Very big, over the top. Same thing with like a Star Wars spaceship or a pirate ship. We focus on bedrooms. We do same aspect of movie theaters. Kind of gaming centers, full-blown arcades, something that you'd see in Dave and Buster's. We picked that up and put it in the garage, and put it in like a Star Wars spaceship cockpit. So that's what I mean by themed short-term rentals. Everything that we do is custom. We do not replicate anything. You can't buy anything of ours off any website. Everything's built in our warehouse. A lot of people think short-term rentals, you put a sticker on the wall and you go to Rooms to Go and you buy a bed and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
We're a few levels above that, and there's not too many properties that are similar to ours that are out there in the market, specifically of around short or Walt Disney World.
Yeah, the only time I've ever heard of the whole themed short-term rentals is the first time I heard that idea, and really the only time I heard it was people would get Airbnbs, or they'd set up Airbnbs around like NCAA football stadiums. And then inside the short-term rentals, it's like on the walls, it's jerseys, it's posters, it's the bedding and this and that. But you guys are taking it one step further. It's Disney. It's got to be bigger. So you're building things, you're taking the whole experience. Because for a lot of people, they would normally just either stay on the campus, on the Walt Disney campus. But I don't know, I've never been. So why would someone stay off campus versus on campus?
So mostly the smallest house that we do is 6 bedrooms, right? Most of what we do
Okay.
are 8 bedrooms. So we're doing some of the larger properties. And that means we're sleeping 16 to 22 people in the house. So our
Mm.
renters are mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, cousins, aunts and uncles, where we're putting the full family under one roof where, they can go to Disney and rent 20 or 10, 20 hotel rooms and, stay on campus and have that excitement, but you're going to pay a huge premium for it. What we do is we take that Disney experience and we put it in the house, right? So you leave for the day, you go to Cinderella's castle, whatever, and then you come back and you're still in that, what I like to call immersive environment. Everything that we do is fully immersive. So when you go into a room or a movie theater or one of our arcades, it doesn't feel like you're in a bedroom or it doesn't feel like
Hmm.
you're in a garage. It's fully transformed. Um, and a lot of the reason why these properties do so well on the market is because it's a win-win situation for both people, right? For the renters, they're
Hmm.
saving money coming to your house because they're not
Hmm.
renting 10 uh, hotel rooms. And
Yeah.
as a homeowner, you're renting at the top of the market and you're staying booked because those are your people are saving money by coming to your property. So, that's essentially why it's a win-win with these properties.
So on the real estate investing side, how do you approach the process of like finding and acquiring these properties that are in close proximity to the Walt Disney location?
So our market is very, very unique, and I haven't heard of another market that is like ours. So
Hmm.
we operate kind of, if we look at Disney World in the middle, we are right below Disney World. So we're in the towns called Kissimmee and Davenport. And in those locations, those zip codes, it's all tourism. It
Hmm.
is all resort communities. When I mean a resort community, I mean, a couple thousand homes in a gated community, and every single property is zoned only for short-term rental. So you can't come
Interesting.
in and you can't buy it and live in it. You can't buy it and do a long-term rental. It has to be a short-term rental. And that's how it's run. So it's very, very unique. And all of the properties that we look at, it's a whole industry down there.
Hmm.
So we don't reinvent the wheel for my clients. We're looking at on-market properties. We're starting to get a little bit into some off-market like sub-two deals, but generally speaking, 90% of the time, everything's on market. People are coming in, purchasing the property, and then going through the process with me.
Now, are they coming to you first or are they coming to you after?
More times than not, they're coming to me first, say, hey, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, great, we'll take you from step one to, step 100 because we do the property management. But they'll come to me and then, I represent them as their realtor for the acquisition. And then they go over to my theming studio. We do the renovation for them. And then we also do the property management. And the reason why that kind of works so well for people is because you don't fall victim to what I like to call the blame game, right?
Hmm.
Where you get a contractor that goes over budget. Oh, your realtor shouldn't have told you to buy this house, because all these things were wrong. You get a property management company that's not performing. They blame your general contractor. Oh, he should have done this, this, and this, and he would have done all those things. So we kind of keep it all in house, make sure it's done the right way. No one else is involved, and kind of ease that nerves of coming in and doing this investment, knowing that you're staying with me for the life of the investment.
So this is becoming a fund, right? We're talking about a fund level thing because what are these properties normally transacting at? These very particular short-term rental communities. What are they transacting at as far as like what do I expect to pay for the house before we even start with the studio?
So that's a great question. So ideally, generally speaking, we're looking at about a $700,000 purchase price. Right now, that can get you an 8 bedroom, 5 bathroom house with a pool and a hot tub all screened in, and a movie theater room. So some people consider it a 9 bedroom, but technically it's not. Just under 4,000 square feet, two-car garage. You're in a resort, so you're in a gated community. You have lazy rivers, water slides, restaurants, arcades, gyms, tiki bars. It's a full-blown resort that your house is in, so you have access to that. So acquisition, you're looking at about 700,000. You can go below that. You'll get into some 6 bedrooms and some of the early 2000 builds. At the 700,000 mark, you're looking at roughly 2015, give or take a few years. And then when it comes to renovation, Most people are around $120,000 for a renovation cost. That gets you two bedrooms, normally a boy room and a girl room, gets you a movie theater and gets you an arcade. That's what you're looking at for about 120,000. And for a return aspect, you're really looking at about your first year about 11% cap rate on average, and then you're looking at like a 20 plus cash on cash return once everything is up and done and up and running. But it's you got to have some cash to do it, right? Those are some big
Hmm.
numbers. So I started to see that, where a lot of my clients were like, oh, I don't have $300,000 in order to go invest. I have 150. I thought that was going to get it to me. So I think it was November of last year, I went out and I started my own private equity firm. And that allows, it's same thing, does the same exact thing under my management through the fund. When you come into the private equity fund, you own shares of the portfolio of our homes. Um, and that minimum investment is $50,000, right? So it's a lot more accessible to people.
Hmm.
The only, I get not downfall, but the only side piece of that is you have to be an accredited investor. If you're
Yeah.
from the US, if you're international, it doesn't really matter. But if you're from the US, you do have to be an accredited investor.
Okay. And so, um, what are some challenges you face, with especially completing that first project and, how did you overcome that?
Yeah, definitely had some challenges, working through the first projects. And the most common challenge that we still face is, building things. Everything that we build when we're talking about our theming studio is custom. So
Mm,
people always say, "Hey, Josh, I need a deadline for when this is going to be done." And I say, "Look, I can't give you an exact date that this is going to be done by because we're not building IKEA furniture. We're
yeah.
coming in and building custom beds. Like I said, we don't replicate anything. So we have a system down, but it's always, that's the biggest thing. And quite, on the other side, that's what makes it fun too, is you're figuring
Hmm.
things out. We build 100 different spaceships, all these different princess castles that shoot laser, not princess castles, but they're spaceships that shoot lasers and different environments and different things on the wall and interactions. So every project is a puzzle, which is always a challenge. And then during COVID, definitely on the acquisition side, um, our market was crazy. Now you look at a specific community, you'll have probably about maybe close to 100 listings that we would be looking at. During COVID, you were lucky to have five, right? So during that time, I mean, I literally had a backlog of buyers pre-approved, ready to go. And when something would hit the market, I'd say, here you go, push it out to them and say, who wants it? Here's the video. So that kind of, has settled down. We have more opportunities for acquisition now. Um, but those are some of the challenges that we're, going through every day.
So when you look at, does it work because I know, or at least I've heard that Florida, specifically like the Orlando market, has some stigmas against because there's everyone's trying to do short-term rental all over the state of Florida.
Oh yeah.
So do you have any outside of these resort things, or you really just stick to these zoned areas?
So that's a great question. And I think this is, even the broader market is short-term rentals across the country. They're becoming oversaturated
Hmm.
everywhere you look, right? Nashville, California, Joshua Tree, Miami, Orlando. My market is oversaturated, right? If you look at the three zip codes around Disney World, you have 45,000 registered Airbnbs. So I
Hmm.
mean, obviously the demand is there, right? Because we had 75 million tourists last year. So I mean, we're consistently like the top one or top two US domestic places. But what is becoming a trend is you have to differ yourself from the market
Hmm.
because everywhere you're looking, you're not the only guy around, right? I've actually lived down in South Florida in the Miami area for a few years, and I never did an investment down there because I couldn't make the numbers work.
Hmm.
Tampa can't make the numbers work. Panhandle can't make the numbers work. And that's why, this Orlando area, you won't make the numbers work if you don't theme your property. And that's
Mm,
really what caused me to go into the private equity world and start my own fund, is because I was telling so many people, hey, look, if you don't have $250,000, plus to easily spend, I'm not going to help you go through this process because I'm going to be setting you up for failure. And
hmm.
that's when we started looking elsewhere, for long-term rentals and stuff. But it is getting hard across the board right now to make numbers work. And that's why, you're getting to the point where you do have to really spend the time after acquisition to differ yourself, right? If you're not like in Nashville, right? Putting a mural on the wall and having a pool doesn't cut it anymore. And that's why you got to go, 3 steps above everyone else in order to stick out and stand out, from the market. And that truly is what's working across the country right now.
So, are there other companies such as yourselves in places like Nashville doing similar things? Have you thought about expanding what you're doing there to say like country music themed 6, 10 bed things?
Yeah, and we've been approached by a few of our past clients that we've done projects for. We've been approached to go to Vegas, and we've been approached to go to California.
Mm,
And quite frankly, we can very easily, because the way we build everything, we build it all in our warehouse and then disassemble it as puzzle pieces, put it in our truck, ship it up to the property, and reassemble it in the house. So we can ship, anywhere. But we've never done any projects, and quite frankly, we're staying definitely busy. We're booked months out right now, just with our general market. But I don't know, or I know a few other companies that are um, kind of like me, getting you up and going, but not to the aspect that I do, right? Where I'm not looking to come in and redo your kitchen, right? If I'm coming in Nashville and we're doing like a cowboy, scene or something like that, we're going immersive, right? I'm not hanging a few saddles on the wall and doing interior design. That's not us. We're coming in and we're going, 4 steps above that, of making it look like you're staying in a stable, or you're in the old west with the saloons, that kind of renovation is what we would look to do. But in generally speaking, I mean, even in our market, we're one of the few companies that are doing it. There's a few mom and pop that I know of, and we actually refer a lot of business to them. But we're unique because with the size that we are, we're big enough to be able to do these properties on a fairly large scale. But all the other theming studios are 10 steps above us, and they're working directly with Disney, Universal, SeaWorld. They're the people doing behind the scenes for Disney.
mm.
And that's not us. So there is, it's kind of a sweet spot where they'll get in referrals, or they'll have people that are looking to do their properties and say, look, we don't do that. They send it to us. We'll do it. When we get projects that are too small, we funnel it down to, the mom and dad, who mom's an artist, dad's a carpenter. But that's kind of the other people working at that as well.
So, like, in addition to raising capital, it must be difficult to find the right people to do the business with, like on the carpentry side and the design side. What sort of qualities or criteria do you look for when you're like forming these partnerships or collaborations, specifically with the maybe the build side, as well as even, with people joining the fund? Because I think it seems like you got to have the right mindset to be part of this.
Yeah, so on the hiring side, right, for our company, the theming studio, it's hard. We have a good core group that, is our company. But the best process that we found for people is trial and error, right? I
Hmm.
mean, more now than ever, people are putting things on resumes that say, hey, I can build this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
they come in and they can't. So, generally speaking, we're at about a 10-to-1 hire rate. So we go through 10 people to keep one. But and that's also an aspect why I think other locations, there's no companies like us outside of Orlando, is because we're the theme park hub of the world. So people that want to
Hmm.
work in the theming industry and build these things, they're traveling to Orlando to get our jobs, right? So a lot of our people, they come from Disney, they come from Universal, they come from
Set
Broadway.
builders or stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. And where, if you're trying to do that in Nashua, right? Someone who's a carpenter is not a set builder. They're very two different,
Hmm.
aspects of skills. And then on the fun side, yeah, I mean, you definitely have to have a mindset when you're being an investor that like, look, this isn't a multifamily, right? You're not coming in, we're not going building a 300 unit complex and going out. This is very unique. We're coming in, it's a per property basis, everything's different. But it's also on the flip side where people like is it's fun, it's different. And they perform very, very well, which makes things easier as well.
Yeah, I can imagine just thinking about the numbers. If you're at 700, you're at a million, uh, 11% cap. You can do the numbers. It's like $100,000, $10,000 a month in revenue
Yeah, and I'll
and
say this.
plus.
We were just sending out owner reports to our out of our property management company. I sent out a few today, and February and March were some of the best. Quite a bit of them were well over $10,000 for the month. Um,
Hmm.
so they're like I said, they perform well. It's a very small niche asset class because people like I said, I have clients that come to me and say, hey, I can do this. I only need to spend $60,000, and I'll say, look, no, you're looking to spend $60,000 on one room. The numbers that you're looking at and that you're trying to get is the whole house, or is multiple rooms. So you have to do it the right way in order to see the numbers. And that's why, really the private equity is the way to go for people that don't have, $300,000 to go in and spend on this investment. So,
Just a personal curiosity of mine. What do you do with the stuff if the person sells the house or you haven't had to like, do they just sell it off? You buy it back? What does it look like?
again, that's why our market is so interesting, is because every property that we operate in is only short-term rental.
Hmm.
So whoever buys that house, they're not coming to live in it, right? These are
It's
all
just
straight.
investments. They're just
Exactly.
investments.
Yeah, where, and that's what we do when we build and we put it in the room, it's not meant to come back out, right? If it's coming back out, you're cutting it up and it's going back out through the door frame.
Hmm.
So to put it in perspective, when we come in and we do a renovation, what the value that we add is the equivalent of going in and doing, marble countertops, doing these high-end finishes is the equivalent of what we do. Because when people go to sell these properties with especially Airbnbs, you're selling a business, right?
Hmm.
You're selling the revenue associated with it. People are buying these and they want to do exactly what it's doing, if not better. So they certainly sell at a premium. To put it in perspective, late last year, I think it closed in December. A property closed at $1.1 million that was renovated. It was very well renovated, but that's kind of the value add that you're looking at here. You buy for 700,000, put 120 into it, rent it, get those numbers up, and when you go to sell, you're selling at a premium for sure.
Well, it's interesting too, because when you look at it, 700, like in Canada, everything's 750,000, just like a small house in Toronto, 750,000 or 1.1 million. But when you look at real estate in the United States, in Florida, there's parts of Florida you can buy a house for like, I don't know, 46 grand or 125 grand. So
Yeah.
750,000 dollars is California numbers in Florida, and they're, similar in that regard. Um, but yeah, there's already like a day one appreciation. If you bought it for 750 and you put in, you're up to like maybe 950. There's still an appreciated asset of at least a year of cash flow of like $100,000 on top of what you're already into it for. So very interesting. I've never heard anyone do it to this degree.
Mhm.
Do you think that's just because you do have the talent in the local market to build that stuff? Because like you're saying, if you were in Nashville or like any other city, you probably don't have professional set builders because you're building sets.
Exactly. You're exactly right. We are building sets where, we're completely transforming a bedroom. And yeah, I haven't really thought about it that way, but I do think that's a very valid point where, you get someone who is a carpenter, they can't build a princess castle. And it's not just the carpentry too, where we like, for an example, I built this AT-AT bed, which Star Wars fans will know what it is. It's that big robotic walker on the planet
Yeah.
Hoth.
Yeah.
To this day, it's my favorite bed. I think it's probably the closest replica, if not the most accurate replica of the movie. And look, it literally fires lasers onto the wall. There's joysticks in it where it move up and down. You can see through the red visor. There's a scope on it. It's the thing that I say too is what we build doesn't just look cool in photos, they function. They actually work. I go for a double wow feature every single time. An example of that is an Alice in Wonderland room that I did. It's muraled all out, right? It's Wonderland, everything's in your face, big vibrant colors, but then it's 3D paint. So you walk in, you look, it's cool. You put on 3D glasses, and the paint literally comes off the wall. So that's like, it's that different level of it's not just carpentry, right? We have,
Hmm.
there's special effects that go into it in order to bump it up more than anyone else is able to. Because we essentially really try to take Disney quality and put it in your house for people.
Well, the one thing that comes to mind as a parent, I'm thinking, I was just at Disney for like 12 hours and oh, look at that. The kids are hanging out in the room and not out here with me.
Yes.
So like it's like a little bit of like a like a play space where they can like escape. The kids can like actually compartmentalize into these rooms and the parents can like have a breather because you go back to the hotel room, they're probably still trying to leave the hotel room and stuff like that. So there's definitely some value. Very, very cool, very interesting. I've done 300 something episodes and this is the first time I heard of something like this. So very cool. Josh, if people want to find out more, they want to get connected to you, they want you to do what you do, how do they find you? What should they do?
So they can find me directly on through my private equity fund. That's called STR Cap Fund, STRCAPFUND.com. On there, you can book a direct meeting with me, or you can literally Google my name. I'm a realtor, so I'm all over the place on the internet. And my phone number's out there. I can give you my direct contact information too, that you can put in probably the description of the video for my direct email and my phone number. But yeah, pretty fairly accessible, especially through my private equity fund. There's a section on there where they can book a direct meeting with me to have a Zoom.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by and really changing the perspective of short-term rental. It's under attack. But I think you found something that can't be attacked. I think you're in a fortified position within the country where no matter, because they've been doing short-term rentals in that space for 3 decades or four
Exactly.
decades.
It's all figured out. The zoning is complete. You have all tourism below Disney. There's no reason to live there because it's all tourists, 99%. Above Disney World is all residential. So you don't
Mhm.
have your neighbors complaining of a short-term rental because your neighbor and the 100 houses around you are
Or
all short.
short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by, Josh.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Awesome, awesome. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.